I'm Justin Mott, and welcome back to my home here in Hanoi, Vietnam, and welcome back to another episode of my assignment breakdown series where I dig, I rummage, I go through my archive right there. I pull up an old project, I try to remember what happened, I break it down for you guys, I share images, and I share my insights from my career as a professional photographer, and hopefully you learn something applicable to your photography along the way. Before we dive in, a quick thank you to today's sponsor, Wotan Craft Bags, makers of the best camera bags I've personally ever used in my life. My go-to is the Pilot series. You know I love bags. I have a whole wall of bags back there. Like a lot of different bags, but Wotan Craft is easily my favorite. Pilot series, easily the one I use the most. Pick the size that fits your kit, whatever kit you like to use, and add their little modular pouches, and basically you've got like 5 bags in one. Check out the affiliate link down in the description box below if you're interested or in the market for a new bag. So this project, this assignment was shot on a Nikon D800. I used to say Nikon, but most people say Nikon. I think Nikon is actually correct. Anyway, for those of you who like gear stuff, I'm not going to talk a lot about gear, but I shot with a Nikon. I went through a short Nikon phase. Fun fact, I actually won the Nikon Emerging Photographer Award back when I was in university. And later on, I scrubbed it from all of my bios because I was the host and face, the ugly face of a TV show sponsored by Canon, and it just hit me. I never really put that back. I sort of scrubbed it from my own mind. Canon brainwashed me. I remember being told by the agency and by History Channel, you need to get that out of your bio everywhere or else they're not going to hire you. I was like, why? I just won an award when I was in college. I don't have like a marriage with them. Anyway, this assignment was from 2013. Wow, time flies. It was shot over the course of a few weeks here and there. I was hired by a group of NGOs. If I remember this right, it was RAFT, which is an acronym for something, and the Nature Conservancy. And at that time, I was hustling hard in Southeast Asia, where I still am today, leveraging my New York Times assignment work into all kinds of fascinating and meaningful projects for NGOs and other companies. And I had all sorts of weird assignments, like weird assignments, fun assignments, meaningful assignments. This one definitely leaned meaningful, and I was excited to do it. It wasn't your typical photojournalism assignment, but I was going to shoot it in that type of way. I had to bid on this job. They sent me a list of locations, dates, and a rough brief. It covered deforestation, illegal logging across Papua New Guinea, which I had never been to, parts of Borneo, and a big conference that was going to be held in Bangkok. Now, I didn't love event photography, but it was only a small part of this project, and it was just kind of part of the deal. But the real draw for me was I was going to be on the ground in these rural communities, documenting these conservation projects. I don't remember the exact budget, but I think I bid around a few $100 a day plus expenses, and they handled most of the logistics, or at least they were supposed to. I remember doing a lot of it myself. I was also shooting video interviews and some B-roll and gathering content for the writer who was based remotely in Bangkok. So they didn't have a budget to send him everywhere, which wasn't that normal at the time. Normally I would work with a writer, or the writer would be on the ground, and then I would go after. I was doing a lot of reporting for this project. I'd interview people, I'd shoot the visuals, then I'd send it all back, and he'd piece together the stories. But I remember back then it was rare for photographers, rare for photojournalists to also shoot and conduct video interviews and be able to shoot B-roll and have a whole kit and be able to do all that kind of stuff. I couldn't edit back then, but it helped me a lot that I could shoot video, I had video gear, and I knew how to do interviews, and I knew how to report as well. But honestly, like, I never loved doing video interviews. I liked B-roll. I'm a little ADD that way. I preferred sticking to photography and B-roll and video. But again, that's what made me versatile. That's what made me hireable. That's what led me to do cool projects in other countries and exotic places like Papua New Guinea. Looking back at these photos now, my memory is pretty fuzzy. I'm not proud of that. I'm not happy about that, but back then, I was traveling about 80% of the year. It was nonstop. I was hustling so hard. Assignment work, wedding work, hotel work, just grinding. I was a one-man band back then, no full team like I have now, the luxury of them booking all my logistics, and I just show up and press the button and leave. No, I don't do that. But I do have a team that helps me handle logistics, helps me handle quoting. Back then, I pretty much did everything myself. But I also remember Papua New Guinea and the countryside being beautiful. I remember Borneo. I remember documenting the efforts to track and stop illegal logging. I remember feeling it was obvious that corruption was allowing this to happen. It's not exactly easy to hide logging. Trees are huge, and they were saying, oh, they track that, they take them down the river. I'm like, these are giant trees. So like, just stop them. You can see they're going down this river. It'd be easy to stop. So I remember a moment of thinking like, oh, even though I had a local fixer in most of the places or local contact, I remember thinking like, I'm gonna stand out and I'm probably not welcome. But when you're young and naive, you just go. You trust the locals, you trust your instincts, and most of the people fighting the good fight were genuinely good people, and they looked after me. And looking back now, I'm quite appreciative about that, and because they probably saved me a lot of situations, probably a lot of things I didn't even know happened, I'm sure, behind the scenes. I visited a balsa wood plant tied to the program. I documented families whose communities were being devastated by illegal logging. Really powerful and meaningful work. I would show up for a couple days and I just have a little bit of time to tell these mini stories, maybe a couple portraits, maybe document someone for a half day, a full day, or a couple days. It was really at my discretion. I have a few days in each location, and I would sort of find the little stories in each location. But back then, I was good at that. It was all about immersion, find the story, shoot the story, and then move on to the next. But truthfully, I moved so fast and worked so hard that I don't remember a lot of it clearly. It's a little bittersweet looking back at these photographs. I know I worked hard. I know I worked ethically. I witnessed the best and worst parts of humanity, but I was able to always leave the story. I wasn't the story. And that's something I probably took for granted back. But it bums me out that I can look at a lot of these pictures and see those faces. And some I kind of remember. Some of them I can't even really remember being there. It was just such a whirlwind. Just one story to the next again. And in between all these projects, shooting so many other things. So I had time to understand the story in the moment. But like my brain capacity, I usually just mentally just sort of moved on afterwards, filed the images and moved on. Not always the case, but back then it was just so fast, so rapid. And yeah, but looking back at these shoots, it's now honestly pretty therapeutic. And I enjoy this. It's a nice process for me, again, to revisit my photography, critique my photography, but also just to re-engage with people that I had the privilege of being a small part of their lives for a little bit and be able to tell their stories the best way that I can. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the Wotancraft store, the Wotancraft affiliate link in the description box below if you're in the market for a new bag. And if you need help with your photography, I do offer one-on-one coaching, mentorships, and portfolio reviews and workshops. I have my Northern Vietnam Photography Workshop this December 2025. I do 2 workshops a year. That's my last one left. I also do offer private workshops for those of you interested here in Vietnam or a custom package globally. I can come to you. You can check all that out at askmott.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions about this or anything about your photography, you can ask me in the comments section. I love hearing from you guys. Love hearing what you think about this series because I want to make it better. I want to improve. So if you have some feedback, let me know. Thank you. I know I talk too fast. I will try to slow down. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to have a wonderful day.